Well, hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Conversation here on Big Country Politics. I'm Manny Diaz. This week we're joined by Precinct 4 Taylor County Commissioner, Mr. Chuck Statler. Chuck, we know each other so much from the football world, the Texas high school football world. Now our worlds get to blend with talking county government and and some politics here today.
Well, Manny, thank you for inviting me here. I really enjoy it. And most of the people in the Abilene area know that I had a good long career with KTAB TV before I gave up the media to do something honest like politics.
Something, yes, indeed. Well, let's get right into it. Commissioner Statler, you're Taylor County's longest serving Republican member of the Commissioner's Court, elected in 1998. With all that said, could you explain 25 years of service to Taylor County and what it's meant to you?
Well, it's meant a lot to be a public servant. I enjoy being accessible to the people I serve, and I enjoy explaining county government to the folks that we take care of. Texas has 254 counties. Each county has 4 commissioners, which represent each precinct, 1/4 of the people in that county. Your county judge is the presiding officer of the Commissioner's Court. He's not a court at law judge. He's the presiding officer and the budget officer for the county. So Judge Crowley came in January. He's the 5th county judge I worked for.
Wow, man. Well, 25 years, your career just in county government is probably older than some folks that are in this building. So, well, I'm not trying to make you feel old or nothing.
And they're, in West Texas, they say in just about every town the size of Abilene that 1/3 of your population turns over every 8 years. So I'm working on my 4th third.
There you go. Well, last week you paid a visit to Austin, to the state capitol, for the ongoing 88th legislative session. Tell us about your time there and what it's like seeing how the sausage is made amongst all the Texas lawmakers.
Well, I went as a past state president of the County Judges and Commissioners Association. When the legislature goes into session for 140 days, each of the past presidents and current officers have an opportunity to go and visit members of the Senate, the House, sit in hearings, and present testimony on issues that affect county government.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned to me earlier this week that you had a list of the good and perhaps not so good bills to hit the floor. Tell us about what was good for you and perhaps what was not.
It's kind of like that old Clint Eastwood movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And there were some good bills that came forth. And we're going to see efforts by different members of the House and the Senate to try to get property tax relief from them. The bad side of that is Taylor County is one of those counties that 92% of our revenue comes from ad valorem taxes. So if the state reduces property taxes, we may see a reduction in revenue. However, we're blessed in Taylor County because we've got new construction and reappraisals that are coming up. So that financially shouldn't hit us as hard as it potentially could. The issues that I really went to visit on, one of them was a backlog in county jails and juvenile facilities. And we have some folks that I understand maybe over 30 that are in our Taylor County Jail that have been there for over 2 years because they're incompetent to stand trial. There's technicalities where they can't get to trial and be put through the judicial process. So the state has left them because there's not any bed space in mental hospitals, there aren't any forensic beds. So those are just pushed down on us, and it cost me and you $80 a day to keep someone in custody in the county jail plus medical. So if you look at 34 people times 80 times 365, that's about $1.2 million a year we're paying because the state won't take those people out of our custody.
As far as the good, you were mentioning some things that could be of concern to us. Is there anything that you liked, what you saw and heard there?
I saw a lot of good things, and I sat in and actually testified in a hearing on the resource Commission. One of the state representatives that's in our coverage area, Glenn Rogers, was sitting in on that meeting, and we were talking about ETJ, the extraterritorial jurisdiction. And for the city of Abilene, we've had so much growth over the last 24 years, and I had a lot of it in Precinct 4 in the Potosi area. Now Commissioner Brad Burcham is seeing that in the Buffalo Gap, Tuscola area, but the legislature decided that should the city of Abilene ever try to annex out into the ETJ, that 5-mile extraterritorial jurisdiction, if they wanted to annex 2 miles more, they don't get to leapfrog and move that ETJ line back out. That ETJ would, 5 minus 2 is 3. So that would be one of those areas. And that would still give people that live in that area to want to go on ahead and live in those unincorporated areas because they want to have a little more breathing space and less regulations. But then again, they're also dealing with slowdown in response time from first responders. If you call 911 and you're in the Potosi area, but your closest deputy's in Merkel, your response time is going to be a little slower.
Yeah.
You have volunteer fire departments. Those people have jobs. A lot of them in Abilene, they have to leave their job, go to the fire station, then get their engine and go to respond that. So there's good things and bad things, but we felt like the legislature was helping the county people, the citizens out there, out by just saying, no, the city cannot expand that extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Interesting. Well, with all that said, it's time for a quick break. When we come back, more with Taylor County Commissioner Chuck Statler and some of the issues surrounding Taylor County. You're watching Big Country Politics. Well, hello and welcome back to Big Country Politics right here on KTAB. I'm Manny Diaz. This week's guest is none other than Precinct 4 County Commissioner, Mr. Chuck Statler. Chuck, we had a great conversation in our first segment regarding, your trip to Austin and the visiting of the 88th legislative session that's ongoing right now. But one of the things that we've also talked about, shared words about, is certainly how the legislature is. Because they oversee the entire state, but at this point, perhaps they're wanting to take some of the decision making away from local governments like yourself, with being with the counties, and pretty much just insert themselves in this whole thing. And this is, imagine this is something that
Manny, the last four sessions, we have seen the Texas legislature and especially the Senate try to take local decision making and local controls away from cities and counties. And I think they're envious because if you and I meet at United or HEB in the grocery store in line, we'll talk about business concerns that you have. And I've had people stop me in the church parking lot, at Little League games. I've even had people walk up to me in the press box in Shotwell and ask me questions. And that's a major concern. Senate Bill 175 is trying to take representation away, especially from county commissioners and sheriff's association, because they say that our influence is too strong when we go and visit. And so that bill did pass through the Senate. It's in the House. There is an accompanying bill, and we're reaching out to our friends like Stan Lambert, Glenn Rogers, Drew Darby, and asking them to not support that bill, because we need to have access to the folks that are asking us to obey the rules they set forth.
Wow, that's happening as we speak.
That's happening as we speak. There was a hearing yesterday in Austin, and testimony was given, but the House has not made a decision as of yet.
Well, 7 years ago, according to the Texas statewide behavioral health strategic plan, more than 80% of Texas counties were designated as mental health professional shortage areas. Fast forward to 2023, 98% of the state's 254 counties have been wholly or partially designated as mental health professional shortage areas by the federal government. Here in Taylor County, what has been your experience of mental health? Is there a dilemma?
There is a dilemma, and it is statewide. The largest mental hospital in the state is in Harris County, and that's the Harris County Jail in Houston. In Taylor County, we have created years ago a mental health task force, and we have a jail diversion committee with people from Betty Hardwick, our sheriff's department. We have paramedics from the Abilene Fire Department, Abilene Police, and I'm the lone elected official that sits in on this committee. And we've created 2 years ago a jail diversion committee. When someone is placed in custody and they get to the county jail at booking, we have basically what's called a voyager that visits with these people and tries to ascertain, do you have a serious mental condition, or are you off of your psychotropic drugs? And that's what brought about the behavior to have you put into custody. So then we try to look at our options. Do we look at a local mental health facility? Do we try to find a forensic bed in Big Spring or Vernon, even as far as El Paso, to get this person some help to divert them from jail? It costs you and me $80 a day to keep someone in custody on South 27th Street. And if we can divert them to get them help, number one, it gets them help. It keeps them out of the county jail, but it actually saves money. And it's really crucial right now, especially in custody, because we're still short of employees. That is kind of an after effect of COVID. But if you drive through town at Whataburger or Taco Bell or any of those places, they have a sign up that says now hiring, and so is Taylor County. And corrections is where our biggest need is.
Yeah. Well, back in January, there was talk of a new juvenile detention facility that would be housed right here in Taylor County. Staffing shortages throughout the county's detention facilities, along with the possibility of the facility becoming an unfunded mandate, did not set well with the Commissioner's Court. You were very vocal about that as well. Since January, what has been determined about a juvenile facility coming to Taylor County?
Well, juveniles are a special area, and we have mandatory staffing requirements by the Juvenile Justice Commission. For every young person we have in custody, or for every 8, you have to have 1 person watching. In the county jail, it's 1:48 mandatory staffing ratio. Juvenile Justice Commission has in the past decided we have a problem. Let's build a new building, but we're going to move the same problems to that. In Taylor County, we weren't willing to be a part of that.
So as the state, have they completely said, no, we're not, Taylor County's off the books?
That's what I'm reading right now. One of the people on that Sunset Committee is our state Senator Charles Perry, and I'd sent him information on it, and the response I've gotten from his staff is Taylor County probably isn't a likely location.
Well, you've been a part of Taylor County here for 25, you elected in 1998, but as you kind of head into this new budget cycle, you're saying that this could possibly be one of the toughest.
This may be one of the most contentious budgets that the Commissioner's Court has to deal with. Not only what will the legislature demand on counties, and remember, counties are a subdivision of the state, but they will also come up with unfunded mandates. If they can't find the money in Austin, they always say, oh, the counties are good stewards of the tax dollars, let them and the cities work on it. But we also have 675 employees, and it costs more for our employees to buy milk, gasoline, pay electricity. We've had 2 reasonable cost of living allowances over the last couple of years, but for our people, which is our best investment, we can build buildings, we can buy cars, but our best investment is our people that serve the people of Taylor County. We need to make sure that they can make a decent living and continue to serve.
Indeed. Well, Commissioner Statler, appreciate your time, appreciate your service and what you do for Taylor County.
And appreciate you having a show on in the morning on Sundays that I'm actually awake and watching each week. But thank you very much, man.
There we go. There we go. Well, for Precinct 4, Taylor County Commissioner Chuck Statler, I am Manny Diaz, and this has been another Sunday Conversation right here on Big Country Politics. See you next week.